Hello Motor Rider World fans, and welcome to Paddock Talk, talking a roundup from Sachsenring MotoGP race day. A little bit of a boring race day, to be honest, and it was made boring by Fabio Quartararo's just pure brilliance, just pure dominance at the moment. The man is untouchable. Someone's still trying to inject him with a cold and a cough and a bit of flu or something, and the man still in the searing heat on low grip track conditions still goes out on a Yamaha that's supposed to be the worst package in the field and no horsepower, and still goes out and absolutely thrashes the competition as he did last time out in Catalonia, and he competed in Mugello where he wasn't supposed to compete as well. So the man is just dominating MotoGP at the moment, and he's making it boring in many ways. It really wasn't one for the highlights reel today in Sachsenring in those low temperature conditions, and Fabio was able to get the best out of it on a medium rear tire that no one thought would last. Fabio and Yamaha make it work. And this is down to his riding style, that smooth kind of Lorenzo riding style, but he also has a combination of really late braking. He just has a combination of everything working for him on that Yamaha, on those Michelin tires at the moment. So it's a great combination. He's getting the best out of the Michelin tires. He's able to run the medium when no one else is able to run it and make it last. He gaps at the beginning of the race and then just maintains and manages it from there. And he just keeps this ice cool head in that searing heat, in those tough track conditions, low grip, just really, really hot, feeling sick. He's able to keep his cool, keep his maturity, keep his head, and just go out and win the race and extend that championship lead while others around him just fail. So it was a brilliant ride from Fabio Quartararo once again. He's able to just push to the absolute limits on that Yamaha and just make no mistakes and get the best out of every situation at the moment. And just, I think it's that cool, calm head and this confidence that goes into every race weekend and just thinks he can destroy the field. And that's exactly what he's doing. So he really was the man to beat once again heading into the weekend, and didn't start off brilliantly throughout the weekend. Had a couple of struggles, said they were missing something as he was in Catalonia, but somehow him and Yamaha found the solution and made it work. So at the beginning of the year and throughout the year, all of us saying that there's no ways Fabio can win the title. The Yamaha hasn't developed enough. It's too slow. Here they are with a comfortable championship lead. And it looks like Fabio is going to make it back-to-back world titles at the moment. And Yamaha are going to make it back-to-back world titles. And Yamaha are proving that horsepower doesn't necessarily always translate to wins and championships. It's about that consistency. And I think what Yamaha are doing is they're not going up and down, left and right, trying to reinvent the wheel. They're keeping it consistent. They're sticking to what's on their blackboard, what has worked for them for so long, and they're not complicating things. And that's what's working for them. Certainly in the case of Fabio. Yes, Dovi, Franco and Darren certainly aren't getting the best out of it as Fabio is, but it's working for Fabio. And why change that? Well, Ducati, on the other hand, are showing their struggles. Even with the 8 bikes out on the grid, just seems like they aren't able to put a consistent, solid championship contention together. We saw it again today. Pecco Bagnaia crashing out early on, unable to make that hard rear tire work. It looked like just running out of grip at full lean angle on the hard rear tire. Fabio was putting the pressure on, starting to extend that lead. You could see Pecco attacked in turn 1. Fabio attacked straight back, knowing that if he let Pecco in front of him, the race would really, really be hard. And it's a pity that Pecco crashed out, because I think we would have had a slightly more entertaining race had Pecco stayed in it. But Pecco and Ducati succumbing to that pressure again, running a little bit wide, trying to stay with the pace. Fabio was setting early on with that medium rear tire, trying to pull it tight, and the rear tire edge of the grip just spun him out. And again, Pecco and Ducati's woes continued. Crashed out early on and pretty much putting an end to his world championship. He sits 6th in the world championship now, losing out to Brad Binder, who goes 5th with his ride. But Pecco's almost 90 points, just over 90 points behind Fabio Quartararo. Yes, there's still some Ducati tracks to come, and yes, there are going to be races, Red Bull Ring, and that potentially Ducati are going to dominate. But Fabio is just ticking away at those points, getting those results, and in any kind of situation, it just seems so adaptable. Fabio, on the Michelin tires and the Yamaha, so that's going to be really hard for Pecco and Ducati to try and beat. It's the 4th DNF of the season for Pecco, and that just seems to be the chink in his armour. I've spoken about it for the last couple of years. We know that Pecco is probably the only real contender to Fabio, but he's just got this chink in his armour that he's unable to, when the pressure's on in these kind of races. And in Le Mans, you think at Le Mans a couple of races ago when he got past and he was chasing down Anea and just crashes out. So unfortunately, Pecco crashing out again, making it a boring race with Fabio out front and pretty much putting an end to his and Ducati's chances of winning a world title. One of the riders of the day one of the contenders, no doubt, is Johan Zako, who happens to be Ducati's leading contender in the championship now, sitting third. And who would have thought that? I have been one of the pundits over the last couple of weeks saying, well, Zarco's ride in the Pramac team is potentially up. He's had a good run in MotoGP, now the most successful when it comes to podiums, but without picking up a win. And I kind of looked at that and thought, well, if you're juggling the likes of Anea, Miguel, Jorge Martin, who are all race winners, surely you can't look at Alex Rins. Surely you'd look at maybe getting rid of Zako and putting one of them in place. But credit to Ducati, Paolo Gibatti came out during the weekend in Sachsenring saying, we are sticking with Zako, we're going to sign him up for another 2 years potentially, which is a big deal for Zako, especially with the rider market and the riders that are available at the moment. But Zarco's proving his worth. Another great ride, second position, gave his all. He was absolutely exhausted at the end of the race, as all the riders were. Fabio as well. Like I said, despite someone trying to give him that illness, he still was able to pick up the win, saying he was coughing during the race. Zarco looked absolutely destroyed. 30 laps around Sachsenring in that heat, manhandling those tyres with the low grip and those bikes. It was really a hard race, but Zako pulled it off. He is Ducati's top rider at the moment, sitting third in the World Championship. Another podium finish there for him. So well done to Zako and well done Ducati for sticking to their roots and going with Zako for another couple of seasons. One man they aren't going with is Jack the Showman Muller, who I have now tagged him after his, again, another brilliant performance in Sachsenring this weekend. But off track, look what he's doing off track. He really is a showman. He's a fan favorite. And I love how the fan put up the board saying, Jack, I'll swap you a t-shirt for one of your gloves. Jack kind of remembered that, and after a hard-fought 30-lap race in that heat and everything that's going on with him at the moment, still finds time to go pull off the track, into the crowd, find the spectator and give him his glove and still do like a mini donut and ride away. He really is a showman, and KTM, I think, have probably made the signing of the season. People say kind of compare him to Petrucci's move, and Petrucci from Ducati to KTM didn't work out. I think Miller's got a bit more to him. I think Miller's had better results on Ducati than Petrucci did. I think, Muller is certainly a better rider than Petrucci. So I think Muller is going to bring a lot to that KTM package, both on and off. He's a fan favorite off track, and he's getting some results on track as well. So Jack Muller, another brilliant rider of the day from 6 on the grid with that long lap penalty where he nearly threw it into the weeds, almost crashing on some of the stones there. But long lap penalty from 6, mature, patient race, got himself up into third on the podium, beating out Aleix Espargaro, another contender there for rider of the day for me. There's a couple of contenders there so far. Zako or Fabio always. I mean, Fabio every weekend is a rider of the day when he pulls out rides like this. There's no doubt about it. But Zako certainly, and Jack Muller up for ride of the day. It was another consistent performance from Aleix and Aprilia. Looked good all weekend, right up there. This, us waiting for Aprilia and Aleix to kind of fade. It's not coming. They're in there week in, week out. That RSGP package looks really good. Viñales was right up there as well. So another good, solid ride from Aleix Espargaro. Fourth, just off the podium. So lost more points in the championship to Fabio Quartararo, but sitting, I wouldn't say comfortably, but pretty solid in second place in the World Championship at the moment. Who would have said that at the start of the year? Certainly, I'll put my hand up and say I wasn't one of those people that would have said that. He lost a bit of rear tyre grip in the final stages of the race. We saw him run wide in turn 1. That pretty much handed Jack Miller's third place in the final position on the podium. But again, he was right up there and sits second in the World Championship on that Aprilia. So good job, Aleix Espargaro and Aprilia. Another contender for rider of the day, Luca Marini in 5th place. Now, the Muni VR46 rider, I have been one of his critics over the last couple of years saying, is he really one of the big names in MotoGP? Is he really one that deserves that seat? Aren't there other names that could potentially come in there? This year, certainly the last couple of races, now that he's starting to gel with that GP22 machine, is consistently just chipping away at it, getting the results, getting those consistent top 10s, really good in practice and qualifying, and really putting on a good show. And he's not throwing the bike in the weeds and crashing out week in, week out. He really is a good, consistent, solid rider. So well done, Luca Marini. Hats off. I will be the first man to put my hands up and say I was completely wrong, and Luca Marini proved me wrong once again today with that 5th place finish. It really was a steady and mature ride there from Valentino Rossi's half brother. So well done, Luca Marini, another contender there for rider of the day. Another contender for rider of the day is certainly us South African fans. Brad Binder, 15th to 7th place once again. Another Sunday man performance by Brad. There's no doubt about that. More points in the bag. He now sits 5th overall in the World Championship, despite everything that's happened this weekend and the season so far with KTM's problems and the bike just not performing, not being adaptable, not being consistent. Brad sits 5th in the World Championship. So that just shows you the hard work that Brad and KTM are putting in, but the mental strength and the determination and the never say die attitude that comes out of Brad Binder, and that's what makes him a top contender. I had someone comment on our YouTube channel about Brad saying he's so overrated and blah, 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 blah. To that person, I say, argue your point with 100% of the paddock that agrees that Brad Binder is certainly a top 5 rider, who this person questioned, saying there's nowhere near top 5 rider and he's being consistently beaten by Miguel Oliveira. To you, I say, look at the championship, look at the timesheets, look at all the results, and Brad Binder is certainly one of the top 5 hot prospects in MotoGP. Once KTM can get that package sorted out, Brad Binder will show his true potential, and it is frustrating, and KTM do need to now sort those problems out. It's getting this theme of going to every race weekend with the same problems, set a kind of a decent pace early on Friday. They kind of just hit a brick wall, and while other teams and riders are able to go faster and get the best out of medium and soft Michelin tires, KTM just hit this brick wall and they just can't do anything. They almost rely on in race pace, and this is the argument on race days why Brad is such a Sunday man, is because the pace is slowed down to a point that he can compete. It's not a case that Brad all of a sudden finds a second or 2 seconds and goes faster. He's just consistently so fast at that lap time that they're able to do so quick. Brad posts his fastest laps on Friday and then finds a 10th or 2, while other riders are finding half a second or almost a second. And then in the race, they all come down from that soft tire qualifying time to the race pace, which Brad and KTM are at. The problem with that is Brad's qualifying just puts him at such a bad starting point. He's got to fight through, and by the time he's made all those moves, the front 5 have gone, and that's pretty much his race done. But to come from 15th to 7th place, brilliant ride there from Brad Binder. Once again, getting the best out of a tough situation, out of a tough weekend, 15 seconds off the win, not too bad. That's only half a second off the pace every lap over the 30 laps. So it's really not as doom and gloom as it seems. It's just frustrating, especially from a fan point of view, from a journalist point of view, from a South African point of view. We know the potential of Brad Binder. We know that he can be a lot closer competing for those top 3 podium finishes and race wins. So hopefully KTM need to find a solution so that Brad can show his true potential. As I said, KTM rely on kind of the others to slow the pace down, to bring them in to be competitive on Sundays. Other bikes are just more adaptable to all kinds of conditions, and KTM need to find a solution. But another brilliant ride and rider of the day contender, Brad Binder. Let me know what you think so far. We've got Zako, Muller, Marini, and Brad Binder and Fabio Quartararo down as our riders of the day. Pretty hard for me to pick. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Solid top 10 for Fabio Di Giannantonio, top rookie in 8th place, closing the gap to Bezzecchi in the rookies title, best of the GP21 machines there. Another solid qualifying, another good weekend from DG, who seems like he's going to be outcasted in MotoGP this year for next year, but he's put in really good performances, proving that he is a good MotoGP rider. So again, I was one that didn't really think that he should belong there. Hats off DG. I'll be the first to, again, eat my words and say great job there, Fabio Di Giannantonio in the Cressini team, beating out his teammate Enea Bastianini as well. Viñales, such a pity for Viñales. He was looking good. If you think 12 months ago at Sachsenring, he had his worst ever result in MotoGP, was in last place. That's kind of when all the Yamaha debacle started with Vinales. This time around, had a solid weekend, was looking really good, challenging his teammate Aleix Espargaro for the final position on the podium, and then that ride height device malfunction, unfortunately putting him out of the race. The difference is Vinales runs an auto ride height device that kind of activates itself judging on the corner and the situation, whereas Aleix runs the manual one. So Vinales is a little bit of a guinea pig at the moment, trying that new device, and unfortunately it failed him in that situation. But it was good to see Maverick Vinales up there again. Let's hope that that problem doesn't hit him too hard. It was good to see him come in the pits and not throw his toys out the cot, but kind of high five and fist pump all his team riders, so team members. So looking like a happy Maverick, which is always a fast Maverick, and he's fast at a Silverstone and Red Bull Ring. Let's see what him and Aprilia can do there. So well done, Maverick. I was impressed with Maverick with the way he handled the whole situation. Honda and their woes, I mean, terrible. They didn't have their number one weapon, which is of course Marc Marquez, going into a track that he has dominated. But the scary fact coming out of Sachsenring for Honda is that there were no Hondas in the points at a track that they've dominated, albeit with Marc Marquez. There was only one Honda finisher out of the four that they had. Alex Marquez crashing out, Alex Marquez pulling into the pits with some kind of problem, Nakagami crashing out, Paul Espargaro pulling into the pits with some kind of problem, and his injuries from big crashes he had. And local hero Stefan Bradl, your test rider, finishes in 16th place. Crashes aplenty again over the weekend for them. There's talk that Johan Zako will go to Repsol Honda. If I was Johan Zako, that announcement has been delayed. If I was Johan Zako, I'd be seriously looking at that. You know, a Cressini Ducati ride would be a better option at this point. That Repsol Honda is just terrible times for Honda at the moment. It's incredible to think where Honda are at the moment. Another Japanese manufacturer, I should say, suffering while Fabio is making the Japanese manufacturers look good out front. The rest of them are just disastrous. Alex Rins and Suzuki, another tough weekend after they announced that they will be pulling out of the MotoGP paddock. Rins, he pulled out halfway through the weekend, succumbing to that wrist injury of his, getting himself ready for Assen rather, and then Johan Zako crashing out early on in the race. Just another terrible weekend, unfortunately, for Suzuki and Johan Zako and Alex Rins. It just really is a tough time for them there. And we knew it was going to be. It was going to be hard to keep the momentum, hard to keep the passion, the focus, the excitement, the dedication, having made that announcement that they'll be pulling out. So it's going to be tough going for them for the rest of the season. The Ducati GP21s, you know, I spoke about it early on in the year. Anaya Bastianini was having great results. Bezzecchi was doing well because they were on these tried and tested GP21s. So while the others were playing catch up, Anaya was on it and he was getting the race results. 3 race wins, championship contender. That seems to have dropped off ever so slightly a little bit now. This race weekend was hard. He didn't have his normal crew chief with him due to COVID. That really did play a part there. But while the other bikes are improving, the GP22s are getting better and they're starting to find their feet and understand the bike more. The GP21 seemed to have hit a little bit of a brick wall. DJ Antonio getting the best out of them in 8th place. So he did really well, but Bezzecchi and especially Anaya Bastianini battling in this race. I think 10th and 11th place there for him. And they were 6 seconds behind DJ Antonio. So looks like that GP21 development has kind of hit a brick wall and the GP22s are now taking over with some of the other riders. Another tough day for Darren Binder, unfortunately crashing out early on. It wasn't a really good reflection of his whole weekend. He showed good pace throughout the whole weekend. Started off Friday really well. He set a fastest lap time of a 20.6. That was only 0.5 of a second off the lap record heading into the race weekend, held by Marc Marquez of a 120.1. So to go in from Moto3 7 months ago into MotoGP, first time on a MotoGP bike at Sachsenring, and only be half a second off the master of Sachsenring, Marc Marquez, I think that's really good going, and I think that's something they have to look at rather than results in that at the moment. Got to look at those timesheets, the sectors, where he is. You know, he was consistently ahead of or right in the mix with Morbidelli and with Dovi, once again, the more experienced Yamaha riders. So Darren Binder proving himself there. He was under a second off the fastest time over the weekend. Qualifying wasn't a true potential of his weekend, as I said, and he was just trying hard. Unfortunately, that bad qualifying, pushing too hard in those tricky track conditions with low grip levels, and unfortunately crashing out at turn 13. But a lot of positives to take out of the weekend for Darren Binder once again into Assen, just before that summer break, and let's see what he can pull off there. Hopefully just keep that momentum going. It's a pity that he's lost that momentum from a great Mugello in Catalunya. Let's hope he can get it back from Assen. That'll really get the likes of Razlan and other MotoGP teams thinking about him as a rider heading into the 2023 season. Jorge Martin looks odd-on favourite now in my mind to get the second factory Ducati seat. He had a solid fifth place finish, fresh off his arm surgery that he just had, and I think that's put him in the driving seat, especially with Anaya. It seems like to be battling a little bit now. There has been confirmation that Anaya Bastianini has signed a 2-year deal, factory Ducati deal. Whether that's going to be in the factory team or the Pramac team is still to be decided, but I do think Martin will be in the second rider in the factory Ducati team. Chabati still said we would like to give him more of a chance. Now that he's sorted his injury problems out, to see his true potential, and he's showed that now in the last couple of races. And he came out saying, if I don't get a factory Ducati ride, I'll look elsewhere. Well, the only elsewhere he can look at the moment is Repsol Honda. I know they are trying to potentially speak to him if the Mir thing goes all pear-shaped and if Marc Marquez doesn't come back. But if you're a Jorge Martin, would you want to trade a Ducati, even if it is a Pramac Ducati with a factory Ducati contract, a new bike, for Repsol Honda? I wouldn't want to do that at the moment. But I do think Jorge Martin is in the driving seat there. So that is race weekend review roundup from Sunday at Sachsenring. A very hot race day, low grip levels, bit of a boring race. Like I said, not one for the highlights reel, but certainly entertaining with some of the off-track stuff. All the Oliveira talk, well, where will he go? Has he indeed signed for RNF Aprilia? Has he indeed signed for Cressini Ducati or Pramac Ducati or one of the Ducati teams? Only time will tell. But make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Facebook page for more content on MotoGP, World Superbike and sports bikes all around the world. We got some Talking TT on there as well. Tune in live Monday nights on our Facebook page from 8 p.m. South African time for Talking MotoGP. Have your say. Come in and we can talk MotoGP from the race weekend. So they'll be going live on our Facebook page from 8 p.m. there. And then stay tuned to the Motor Rider World Facebook page for all this great content and the chance to win some tickets to the upcoming official Binder Brothers meet and greet event happening in South Africa on the 16th of July at Lock, Stock and Beer. Keep a lookout. We've got some exclusive prizes. Apart from the tickets, we've got some signed official team cards. We've got some signed Yamaha t-shirts from Darren and some signed knee sliders from Darren, and hopefully one or two more items from Brad there as well. So stay tuned to Motor Rider World Facebook page and YouTube channel for plenty more content.